Hi guys, welcome back from spring break. This is the video for Monday, April 20th. It's going to be kind of a long video, but please watch the entire thing so that you can do today's classwork, which will count as a quiz grade. Today we're going to review connections, predictions, and theme. I noticed when I was grading some of your work that many people were confused about these three things. So I want to make sure that we're clear and review them. Let's talk about connections first. A connection is how two things are similar and relate to each other. So when we're making connections to a story, we want to figure out what is similar, what is this reminding me of? The first type of connection is a text to self connection. So as you're reading, you're thinking, how is this similar to my life, to my personal experience? Let's look at an example. We're going to use this cartoon as an example. I'm noticing that I have two men. One man seems to be a burglar, a robber, someone who's trying to steal because he has the knife and he said, I said, throw me your wallet. And then we have a man here whose hands are up. He's going to be the victim. Both men are wearing masks. This is a modern cartoon, so it is talking about the coronavirus. So here's my text to self connection. This reminds me of my own life because I also have to wear a mask when I go out because of coronavirus. So, something similar about my life and the cartoon. Let's think about that story Fear that you read before spring break. I want to show you an example from a student's work. You'll notice here's the text quotation. It was a school night, a Tuesday in early February. Zoe's mother has an evening shift, something that doesn't happen very often. Zoe is home alone. Look at her self connection. This reminds me of my mother as she sometimes has night shifts at work, so I stay home alone or with my brother. We're seeing a similarity between her life and Zoe's life. They're both staying home alone because their parent is working. Next type of connection, a text to text connection. Here we're connecting the text that we're reading to another story. So we're thinking about the characters in the story, we're thinking about the setting where the story takes place, or something that happens in the story, an event. Thinking back to this same situation, I'm trying to think of anything that I have seen or read that something similar is happening. So I'm reminded of this show, Sex and the City. So this reminds me of the TV show Sex and the City because the main character, this is her, Carrie, gets held up at gunpoint and the burglar steals her expensive shoes. So seeing both of the situations are happening on the street. The situation is similar because there's somebody who's a burglar who's trying to steal something. That's a text to text example. Let's go back to the story Fear and look at the student example again. Here's the quotation. The door of that room is closed, but it's a weak door, loosely hanging on old hinges. There is over an inch of space between the bottom of the door and the floor. Let's look at her connection. This reminds me of a horror story I read because the door to the room where most of the story takes place had almost the same descriptions. I also remember that the door was in a separate room, like at the back of the house, so it was old and weak like the one in the story. Excellent connection because she's providing us very specific details about why this horror story is similar to the story Fear. She could make this connection even better if she gave us the title of that horror story. The last type of connection is a text to world connection. So we're connecting the story to something that happens in real life, maybe an event in history or a current event that's happening in the news. This is a non-fiction connection. So, text to world example, this is reminding me of an article that I was reading just this week about crime. This is the article Crime rates across the US drop amid the coronavirus pandemic. This reminds me of an article that I read in Forbes magazine because it said that crime is decreasing because of the coronavirus. So, this is a situation happening real life, and I'm connecting it to the text, which is this image. Okay, let's look at Fear. 2 weeks ago, his mother finally decided to install security bars on the windows and expensive security doors on both the front and the back. Here's the connection. This reminds me of an advertisement that I saw for the Ring doorbell camera. More people are installing cameras by their front doors for security. So here's a situation that's happening in real life. People are trying to have more security in their homes, and it's connecting to the story where they're trying to put more security measures into their home. All right, moving on from connections, we're going to talk about predictions. A prediction is a statement about what you think is going to happen, what will happen next in the story. You should be using the future tense to show your prediction. I think he or she will, or he or she is going to. That's showing me that that's happening in the future. Let's make a prediction about this image. I think that the man will run away because he knows that the burglar will not come close to him because of the coronavirus. So I'm using what I know about life and looking at the cartoon to think about what will happen next in this situation. Let's think about that story, Fear. Here we have that same text-to-text connection about the door. Here's the prediction that she made. The door is weak, so I think the intruders will force the door open or break the lock. Notice will force. So because we're seeing this information, this is what we think will happen next. All right. Think about the Fear and Connections and Predictions classwork. That was on April 4th. If you got a 70 or below, you may redo that assignment and give it back to me. I just want to see that you understand connection and prediction. All right, the last thing we're going to review is theme, and that's the message or lesson about life that the writer is trying to teach us. It is a complete sentence. You should have done an ed puzzle where you looked at what a theme is and saw another example. If you didn't do that assignment, please go back and do it. Here are some things you're going to think about when you're trying to figure out the theme of a story. What is this story mostly about? What is the topic? And what message is the author trying to say about that topic? So, here's our story, Fear. If I'm trying to figure out what the whole topic of this story is, I'm thinking about what happened. Zoe is alone. He's afraid because intruders are trying to get into his home. He decides to stand up for himself and tell the intruders to go away because he will call the police, and the intruders leave. He begins the story scared, but he ends the story by getting the intruders to leave his home. The story is also titled Fear. So this is my clue. Here's the topic. This story is mostly about fear and overcoming fear. So in order to create my theme, I have to have a complete idea about that. We want to know, what is the theme of fear? Here are some real answers that I got about the theme. It is necessary to confront your fears. You must not let fear overcome you. Zoe was alone when an intruder tried to get into his house. Courage must be greater than your fear. Zoe was scared. Even if you are scared, you need to walk forward. And the intruders left the house. Some of these are themes, and some of these are not themes. These are the ones that are themes. Notice how it's a general message about life and how we should live it. These are the themes of fear. All of them say basically the same thing, that we have to fight our fear and work through it. These are not the theme. These are telling me what the story was about or what happened in the story. It is not telling me the message of the story. So for today's classwork, I want you to show me that you understand connection, prediction, and theme. And so in the classwork section, you're going to take this quiz, connection, prediction, and theme. It will count as a quiz grade. You can use today's slide and this video to help you on the quiz. There will be no exit ticket for today because you are doing a quiz. If you have any questions, please contact me via email. Have a good one and good luck.